today features distinguished director and screenwriter of Black Panther and Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, Ryan Coogler. Joined in conversation by screenwriter and Black Panther Long Live the King novelist Aaron Covington. Today we'll be discussing the challenges and rewards of writing Black comics, the transition of stories from comic form to the big screen, and the subversive nature of the comic genre. Aaron Covington has worked in a variety of visual media. He co-wrote Creed, an expansion of the popular Rocky franchise with Ryan Coogler. He's worked on, directing and writing on video games in the NBA 2K franchise. Many of us love that. And feature film animations like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Space Jam: A New Legacy, and Marvel comic books like Black Panther, Long Live the King. Aaron currently writes on the NBC sitcom, Grand Crew, and can be heard on the podcast Black Guys on White Movies. Ryan Coogler was born in Oakland, California, in the Bay Area. He discovered his own passion for filmmaking as a college freshman and began shooting shorts with his teammates and friends. After being admitted to the USC School of Cinematic Arts right across the street from us here, he went on to create his award-winning shorts, Locks, Big and Gap. Locks was shown at the Tribeca Film Festival and was the winner of the Dana and Albert Broccoli Award for Filmmaking Excellence. Gap received the Jack Nicholson Award for Achievement in Directing and fifth won the HBO Short Filmmaking Award, DGA Student Filmmaker Award, and was nominated for the Black Girl Award for Outstanding Independent Short Form. Ryan has a long history of being an incredible filmmaker. His feature film, Fruitvale Station, debuted at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. The film won both the U.S. Grand Jury Prize for Dramatic Film and Audience Award for the U.S. Dramatic Film with two of the festival's top honors. Later, Ryan went on to write and direct Creed for MGA starring Michael B. Jordan, who the ladies love, and Sylvester Stallone. Black Panther won 3 Oscars and was nominated for 6 Oscars. Won 3 Oscars and was nominated for 6 Oscars, including Best Picture. Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever is continuing to smash box office records. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Aaron Covington and Ryan Coogler.
had 2 younger brothers, but I didn't have any older siblings. So I hung out with I was always looking for an older brother, and I had an older cousin named Jamal, who was about 7 years older than me. And he drew and was crazy into comics. And he would, I would be hanging out with him, and I would see his comics. And I had interest in him, and he would kind of explain them to me and let me read his comics. But that was how I got into it. And I was very young, I had to be 3 or 4, so I can't really remember not being in the comics.
You said you explained them to, what were those conversations like?
Yeah, he was a kid himself too, right? So he was 7 years older than me. So, he was kind of he was big on the X-Men at the time, and it was a great time talking the early 90s, where comics were bananas, and I think Image Comics had just gotten going. He was reading a lot of Image stuff, like Savage Dragon and Spawn. Wolverine had a lot of his own books, so it was Weapon X book and X Factor, X Force, so he would kind of tell me how mutants work, who was cool, who wasn't, obviously showing me who Bishop was, because he was a black X-Man. And then he still is in the comics a lot, Jamal. He's got a family now and a job, but he loved it, man. He was a great person to be a guide into the world.
Yeah, that's amazing to have that kind of older mentor, teacher figure, kind of guiding you through these comics things.
Yeah.
So 14 years ago, you and I started grad school across the street, and you were the first person I met on campus. Do you remember the first thing you said to me?
I don't. I'm gonna ask you where you were from, but what did I say?
You said, do you move? Then you said, because I play football.
Yeah.
Then you said, we the only black people here so far.
Oh, man.
But going back 14 years ago, what were you thinking, or how were you envisioning what you wanted to do or a possible career in film? Considering we were at USC, and I think we all were this felt like a big deal to us. We knew that we had a rare opportunity. What was your mindset coming into school?
That's a great question. I had just got done, I literally just walked off the football field into graduate school. We had just finished our season. And I was lonely, because I went to school about an hour away from where I was from. Was used to having a lot of friends, a lot of people that I knew, a lot of family that was close. And down here it was different. I had 1 or 2 guys that were here that I knew, not a lot of family. And I remember wondering if I had made the right decision, at that time when we met. Yeah, being really homesick and trying to understand the industry. LA felt big. The industry felt out of reach, even though we were very close. And I was trying to find my way. As far as career-wise, I knew I needed to learn how to even make short films. I feel I didn't know anything. But
you came in with a couple shorts too.
I did. Yeah, I came with a couple shorts. I had made a short when I was at Sac State, but it wasn't very good. Oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, and we just lost last night. And we had our football team undefeated all season. They lost their first game last night, so I was a little bummed out. I was watching the highlights coming here. But yeah, Sac State, shouts out. But I knew I had to figure out. I came with a short, and I think I made a music video of that baby. You learn pretty quick. When they'll show you some short films at that students had done at the school in the past, and it was like, man, my body was very far off from from that, so I knew I had to do some growing, you know.
Well, it's interesting because we started in 2008, right at the boom of comic book movies.
Yeah.
We saw Iron Man at the Cinerama Dome.
Yeah.
Robert Downey was there.
Yeah.
Dark Knight came out that year.
Yeah.
It kind of almost feels inevitable now.
It does, but at that time it did. Yeah, I think about that quite often. I mean, how do you remember the first Iron Man? Like when so Aaron and I quickly found out that we liked a lot of the same things. Good food, sports, comics, you know, it was fast friends. But Jerry Conway, who was like, speaking of mentors, he was another film student who was a little further ahead of us in class and loved comic books, making all types of movies. And we were like 3 comic book geeks that would hang out and follow what was happening in the world. And when Iron Man came out, did we hang out free comic book day too? We go to comic book shops together sometimes too.
Yes.
Yeah, and
well, I actually got more into comics reading yours. I'm from a smaller city, so we would just have comics at the grocery store. And they didn't update those regularly. So you had all this collection. I got that older Batman.
Yeah.
First.
That's right, I gave the Batman, yeah. Let me take me back, bro.
No one else can give this kind of interview. J-Con was kind of the leader.
He was.
In terms of really like caring about the superhero movies or Marvel was building.
Yeah. And he got us on tickets. He got us tickets to Iron Man. It was like Thursday night or Friday night, opening weekend. And we had been hearing that it was good. You know, and Iron Man was kind of like a character that wasn't like, he was mainstream, but kind of like off mainstream a little bit at the time. And Robert Downey had just kind of started to come back. He had done Kiss Bang Bang. Yeah, it was risky, and we pulled up to the ArcLight. That wasn't my first time at the ArcLight. No, that wasn't my first time there. And you could just feel it, like the energy was like electric. You know, and we saw Mikey and all the guys come out. I saw him right to the bathroom, Blake, saw all the guys come out and introduce the movie. And you could feel that, like pop culture was gonna change watching it, I think.
Yeah, you know? Definitely felt like a big deal.
Yeah.
And of course, finishing the USC timeline, we did a few shorts there that got some success outside of film school. Lots. Was a 5-minute short that played at the Tribeca, right?
Yeah, it played. That actually didn't make it into the festival, crazy enough. It played in this program that they did called Delta's Flying Movies.
It was on an airplane.
They put a movie on the airplane. Yeah, the movie on the airplane. We got yeah, that was great.
And I think you could see themes of your work early on, which is what we're going to get to now, because I know how deeply you connect to your movies. Fruitvale, obviously, I mean, Oscar Grant, probably us. You were the same you at the time. Creed, of course, and I find the through line through your work, right? Fruitvale is, I put away childish things, I have to grow up, have responsibility. Creed was, I'm seeing my mentors as human, as they are aging and dealing with all of that. And I'm focused on my goal. First Black Panther is now I have it. How do I keep it? And how do I deal with challenges? What is Black Panther 2 for you? What's the personal connection? Considering all the changes that the movie had to go through and where it ended up, what we see on the screen now.
Yeah, I think Black Panther 2 is, I'm still very close to it, so it's a lot of things to me. And you speak eloquently about those movies, more eloquently than maybe I could speak about, but for Black Panther 2, it's about dealing with like unthinkable adversity, which is what we were dealing with while we were making it. I think what society was dealing with, it was a difficult film for us to make, and I think in many ways it's a difficult film to watch, intentionally, I think, as you get older, you realize that, or I realize that a lot of times your identity can shift, and a lot of times your identity can be tied to other people, and what do you do when you lose those people who by their very existence define you, Like I think that's the question, you know what I'm saying? Like I can tell you that I'm like a director or I'm a filmmaker or, before that I was an athlete, you know what I'm saying? Like, before I was a student, before I was anything else, I lost somebody's son, or a brother or a friend, and then what happens when you lose those people that actually define the relationship that you define yourself with, and how do you find a way to move on? That's what the film is about, and it was radical for I think for Marvel, which is like owned by Disney, which is like an instrument of like mass capitalism, you know what I'm saying? For them to endorse us making a movie that explores these things, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not a given that people will want to go watch that, Thankfully people did, but that's what it's about.
That's an incredible answer. It's about passing on these lessons, right? To future generations. You mentioned you're from Oakland. I didn't know it. Oakland has always been the character in your movies. Even in Creed, I felt like it's the whole thing of like a hood here is a hood there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Killmonger's from Oakland.
Yeah.
But in this movie, you have Wakandas and a Talakanila.
Yeah.
How did being from Oakland influence how you told that story, or why you wanted to tell that story?
Yeah, that's a great question. Being from Oakland influenced it a lot. Like, in the Bay Area, it's a very diverse place. Not dissimilar to Los Angeles or any other like major California city.
But it is different. Though.
It is different. Yeah, it is different. I think being in LA, I got a lot of love for this city in so many ways, for so many reasons. And I used to live here, like not far from, like right down the street. And I think that the way that Oakland and Los Angeles are similar, was very, very helpful for me in terms of coming here, but there were some key differences. I found that LA was in a way that was hurtful for me, was more successfully segregated, than Oakland was. And I know it was, for a reason, like all the law enforcement in California is militarized, you know what I'm saying? But it felt like in LA they really did a job in the city in terms of like keeping people in their pockets, and that for me was a tricky thing to navigate, specifically with Black and brown relationships here, give a couple sentences to it. But yeah, like in the Bay, you know, cultures are slightly more meshed up with each other than they are in other places in California. And it's like a beauty in that I didn't recognize until I went to other places. And for me, you know, to make a movie that had both cultures present, you know, working in ways that they can admire each other in the film, working, they can have tough conversations, and they can come into like real conflict with each other. I thought it would be an interesting thing to explore. And it's something that could trigger conversations that could be illuminating or helpful.
I mean, low key, it's been in every movie. Fruitvale, Mike and Melody.
Sofina was the Oscar Grant's partner. Yeah, they had a kid together, and Sofina was Mexican American. Yeah.
Treaty started
in Mexico. Yeah.
And the guy who fought in Philly is the one in the big shot in the middle of the movie.
Yes, well, he was an Italian, Puerto Rican in the film. The character who we made, the actor that played him was Puerto Rican, Gabriel Rosado. Yeah, actual boxer.
Of course, the Black Panther franchise.
Yeah.
Now, thinking about it from the comic perspective, this is a comic thing, comics event, CAAMCon in a way. You took Namor from the comics and you evolved them to something new. Were there other tropes that you were looking at rejecting or embracing when making, you know, a comic book movie of this size? How do you keep those comic things and movie things, put them together into a film?
Man, that's a great question. Yeah, we made the conscious decision, obviously, to attach like a real sense of culture to our adaptation of the Atlanteans. You know, how many of y'all know Namor from the comics, man? Atlanteans from the comics. Yeah, so we were looking at it, you know, trying to make a Black Panther movie and working with Joe Robert Cole, my co-writer, and Nate Moore, one of our producers. We would sit and say, all right, so now we make another Black Panther. What makes a Black Panther movie? Like, what do people come to these movies expecting now, you know? And I think one thing was a real respectful deep dive in the cultures that exist in the world, you know? Conversations with capitalism, with capitalism, part of colonialism, with real conversations with colonialism and the legacy of it. And I think that like those two things made us say, all right, if we're gonna bring that Atlanteans in, you know, we probably should try to base that culture off of a real, you know, let it be inspired by something real out in the world. And it makes sense for it to be a culture that was as affected by colonization as cultures from the continent were, you know. And when you look at the Americas and the continent of Africa, you know, you see similar effects, but you also see some key differences, you know. And for us, it was like, you know, what's going to be the difference between Wakanda's relationship with colonization and this other place's relationship with colonization. And once we kind of settled on it, them being descendants of Mesoamerican people, for us, it's this idea of migration became a key element of it. You know, like for the first Black Panther, you know, Killmonger had a bone to pick with Wakanda because he felt like they left him and by proxy his people out to dry. You know what I'm saying? Like they left us off because I have all of this and never had to come back for us. You know, that's it. And for us, that's like a great argument. You know, and that's something where you lean before you watch the movie. For us, the Namor in our film, or the more Khan got a lot of names. We can talk about that. Yeah. Wakanda, it's not an issue until they start performing later in the movie, but like where you feel that they'll never understand him is that his people have to move. Like his people have to migrate, you know, they have to give something up and change themselves to become safe in this thing. Whereas Wakanda's were able to stay put, they never have to move. You know, and that concept of migration was something that rang true for me, just being like a Black man from California. You know what I mean? That's like the thing that's like the unsaid thing that we have in common with indigenous people. You know, is that we know that feeling of like having to leave something behind and come like in Oakland. We all generally from the Black folks, Oakland, generally from Louisiana or Texas. Yeah. And like it's like the Gulf of Mexico thing, you know, like it's kind of similar with LA as well. Like, you know, so my grandma described it to me. She came to LA first. Some folks stayed in LA and then she went up. You know what I mean? Went up to the Bay. But a lot of famous Black people from the Bay are actually from Louisiana. Like Huey Newton was born in Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that idea of like having to settle in a place because you were running from something that was very powerful. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you got a similar thing with Latino folks from a lot of them, you know, migrated from where sometimes the word moved over them. You know what I'm saying? It was already someplace. It's like, well, now this is going to become something else. You know, and how do you find yourself? So that vibe of having to move, having to give something up, having to leave home and make a new one, and carry some home with me, and some things change. I thought would be a great argument to contrast with Wakanda. You know,
when in the process did the word migration become a part of it?
That's a great question, man. Well, we made a choice, right? Like, we made a choice because in the you're gonna get real nerdy now. I guess it's the place. So you know, like Atlantis has this. It's like considered public domain. The concept of it, right? It was a lot of times this is specifically talking about Plato, Greco-Roman philosopher.
Just the idea of an Atlantis.
He named it. You know, he wrote about this place. That was kind of like an island or a continent that ran afoul of the gods or did some scientific and got sunk, you know, and disappeared. And that's been adopted through a lot of, like, you know, Western literature. You know, there was a cartoon that came out, Disney animation in the 90s, for those of y'all who remember that. And there's also, like, you know, television about it in comics, both DC and Marvel had their versions of it, right? For DC is Aquaman, and they got a whole Atlantis myth that he comes from that basically, like, it's like basically playoffs deal. And in the Marvel version, which predated that version, the Atlanteans were a different species, like Homo mermanus. They were like, you know, an offshoot that could have possibly been aliens that settled here, aquatic aliens. But there were another breed of people who settled in the sunken city that Plato wrote about. And Namor was half of that ancestry and half of a human, you know. We were making a movie that was like after Aquaman had come out, you know, and also like we knew we were gonna deal with real cultures and like being want to have it be like another species of person or something like that. Cause like that inherently would attach like dehumanization to people who have been dehumanized traditionally in the media. So we wanted to do away with that. And so for us it was like, okay, let's have these people be human. You know what I mean? Who had to alter themselves in order to move, because that felt to us like a great allegory for when you have to migrate, learn a new language, put on new clothes, you become something else in order to survive. So once we kind of settled on that, story. That was when the idea entered the lexicon first.
That was really early.
It's very early, yeah.
So they built. Did they inhabit the city or did they build the city?
Built it, you know, moving, they built it.
That's the difference.
Yes.
Other things, it's a sunken city that's inhabited.
Yeah.
This one is built
They built it. Yeah.
by these people.
That's correct.
That's amazing. So I see this movie, Wakanda Forever. I think I texted you this. It's like a historical epic to me. It makes me think of like Last of Mohicans or like Gladiator. Like it's telling the story. This is the war that the Wakandans, you know, met these other people, and we had a new Black Panther. Like that's what it feels like to me. And it's the first Marvel movie where the final battle, like you said, both sides are relevant people. It's not a horde of monsters or rock people or something. It's this community versus that community, right? So how did you think about it, the format, and to make it kind of like an epic war movie, and then take the final battle and the battle with everybody having their humanity?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I think we have to do it like that. Like you know, I got a complicated. Personally, I have a complicated relationship with violence. You know, and it became clear to me like that this would be a movie where we would have to do like a harder thing. You know what I'm saying? We have to do the more difficult thing. Like
We always do.
yeah. But I mean, even for us, like Chadwick would talk about this a lot, you know, and we were making the film for him. Like he would never go the easy way. You know what I'm saying? And it was for us. It was like, all right, man, can we make a movie where by the end of it, you care about everybody involved so much that you'll actually cheer when they stop fighting, you know? And that for us was the goal, you know, was to make a movie where traditionally in these movies it's like, yeah, kick this dude's ass or whatever, you know what I mean? And like nothing against all the movies, I love those movies, you know, like I remember watching Endgame when they finally beat Thanos. I was like, man, this is great. But in this one, we knew that it had to be different. You know, this had to be a movie where when the war breaks out or the fighting breaks out, you feel like it's a real. You feel like, oh my God, I wish that stopped. You know what I mean? I'm not sharing with people. I heard somebody else. And I think that's how it is with like real movies. You know, like.
I mean, that's definitely how it felt. Watching it, it was like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
As they're heading to the lift, you're like, oh, diplomacy.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that sometimes, you know, like, you know, if we make these choices, man, like, as artists, you know, and we think about it, it was not without much thought, you know what I'm saying? Like it was not, like I still to this day, man, people, even with the first one, man, and the first one I had a very violent movie, you know, and a lot of the violence to me in the first one, dang, I don't want to, you know, Forrest Whitaker gave me and Mike our first shot, you know what I'm saying? Mike stabbed him, man. I was like, no, you want to make it? I'm like, Jesus, you know, and as a man, especially I got kids now, I see people like, hey, I'm taking my kids to see Black Panther. I'm like, I feel conflicted, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This said, my father, I'm dating myself now, man, for the young ones in the crowd, my father took me to see, you know, both Malcolm X and Boys in the Hood, like over the night. Maybe both back, you know, I was 3 years old.
In high school.
I was into soul, like so I thought it would just happen when it happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but for me it's like there's more nuance in this, right? But yeah, sometimes like, you know, sometimes as a parent, it's like, I'm taking my kid to see this, you know what I mean? And especially like with the internet and cell phones, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot of stuff out there. But like I think that for us, you know, when it comes to violence, you know, you can make a decision to be responsible with how you show it, and with people that are like allegories for Africans and Mesoamericans and all of that, and everybody who attaches themselves to that when you watch, you know, we want it to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? And conscious and cognizant of it. And when people tell me like say, hey, I'm watching the guy in all I'm fighting, you know, and the inside I'm like, good, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that was kind of the point, you know, like
yeah. I think that was mission accomplished. Definitely felt. I mean, I think when they stopped fighting, there was a relief.
Yeah.
So that feeling you were going for definitely existed in the theater when I saw it. Let's talk briefly about the process of making this and storytelling in general. How does that help deal with grief? The process of making this movie, even as a person who experienced some loss during COVID, who goes and sees the movie, what is the power of storytelling in that process?
That's a great question. I'm trying to be responsible. It's like I think that grief is one of those emotions that you can spend your whole life and all your resources in therapy on trying to study, and we still never fully understand it. You know, and I think that's okay. You know, for us. I think that making the film after, you know, losing Chadwick, but also going through the pandemic and all the loss that was associated with that, it always felt like we were doing the right thing, you know, to us, you know, and I think that it was because we were able to actually like give attention to how we were feeling. It felt very truthful to us. It felt honest. And I think that any time you can be honest about what you're feeling when you're grieving, it is helpful. You know, it does bring like a level of relief because it takes a lot of energy to lie. You know, it takes a lot of energy to act as if you're not hurting when you are. You know, it takes a lot of energy to talk about BS or weather or whatever else when you want to really talk about how you feeling. You know what I'm saying? So for us, I was very grateful to have spent the time actually like giving voice through art and conversation, and spend time with folks that we can share the loss with, that can understand. And really like for me, like it's always strange to talk about. It's always strange to talk about our movies. Because we're supposed to be like saying everything that we want to say, do the art form. Yeah, it is a language, right? Film. But I think that like there's a scene in the movie, like how many of y'all seen? Everybody seen it on the scene in the movie where Angela's character and Letitia's character are talking about water. It's right before Neymar shows up. And she's trying to express like that just because somebody has died, they're not gone, you know. And I think that concept is the most like soothing concept to somebody who's lost someone that they care about, that they love, you know. Because like death has a finality to it that I think is really hard for us to reckon with. Even though death is guaranteed for all of us, right? You know what I'm saying? It's still difficult for us to wrap our heads around why we live, you know, and still gonna have an effect on the world, they're still have an effect on me, they're still have a presence. I think it's for us the most soothing concept that you can put on your room that is business, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a truth to all of that. And I think there's a tremendous catharsis to see it on the screen. To see you and the actors and all the craft people in the movie putting everything into it and being honest with us about what you guys are going through. So it goes to you in the making of it and for us witnessing it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right on, thank you, bro.
I think we have one more. I have one more here. So to wrap it up, I wanted to know, how do you think about your place in the industry, and what do you think that means for you going forward? In general, without asking like specific, you don't have to read page 1 of the next script, but just in general, what do you think your place is, or what do you want it to be?
That's a great question, Aaron.
Thanks, man,
I think what I like, the simple version is like I want to keep working, I want to keep making things. My wife, Zinzi, is here. We founded a company a few years back, and we got to make some things since then, and working on a film that we got March Creed 3. Making television and back up work with Aaron again on Space Jam. So I think for me, it's like I just want to continue to work, continue to make things, continue to make films and television and companies, and like in a broader scheme, I think becoming a vehicle for more people like us to break into the industry and just to bring it like full circle. When I was on the campus looking around for other students, I was looking around for people like me. You know what I'm saying? That's when I saw you. You know, and when I was asking, hey, maybe movie, that's when I'm asking you, hey, you like me? You know what I'm saying? Because if you are, that would be great. You know, like you can find somebody else that's like, you know, we found Gerard, and these folks we mentioned have affected the industry, you know what I'm saying? And like, I want it to be more of this, you know, and I want it to be more effective. And I think through that process, we can leave a mark, you know what I'm saying? And it'll be different for the next crop of folks that's coming up, you know. So that's like, I guess that's like a long-term thing. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. It's awesome. A couple of audience questions, just a couple. Somebody else is picking people. I'm not even.
So look, I want to give you a thank you from us, from everybody in this audience, simply because you went about to help show us a certain standard that we can attain. We're the most talented race on this planet, and you brought out this, and you've taken all from sections.
So they can hear you. So they can hear you. Speak in the mic, right here.
Come up here.
Thanks. So, from your evaluation, from your time at FC, we would love to see you in your shorts, by the way. Yes. Okay. So let us know when we can partake of that.
My brother. Question?
So, in this, what are you leaving for us? What are you leaving for us? Because you did done so much.
I was saying the movie, you know what I'm saying? Like the movies, man, it's a lot, there's a lot of people. So I'm leaving every time. Every time we get to make something, anytime anybody gets to make anything, you know what I'm saying? You communicate, you know, you need to do something. Thank you, bro.
What's your name? Fred. All right.
Question, how long did it take to make Black Panther 2?
Yeah, how long did it take to make Black Panther 2?
It took about 4 years.
How much fun did it have?
It costs a lot of money.
I brought my sketchbook portfolio, and I really love Black Panther. The second movie was really good. I thought that it really inspired me to draw a lot more. And the first one was good. I think the second one took a lot about the first one. Didn't see the first one. And I want you to decide my sketchbook later.
You see, that's Mr. Warren right here. You can get it to him.